Podcast is scheduled for one fall. Coming in at 195 pounds from Studio A, he is the reigning, defending, undisputed host of the Ring of Thunder, Sexy Thor! What's up, Thunderverse? How are you all doing on this happy day? I'm doing wonderful, except my foot is killing me. But you know what? I took steps to resolve that soon, so yay. But it's just another lovely day in this lovely era of professional wrestling, sports entertainment that we are in. And we're starting off with the announcement of Pro Wrestling Turbo's 4th anniversary show. Hey, somebody else is going to be enjoying a 4th anniversary here soon, coming up in July. Cough, Thunderverse, cough. But yeah, this anniversary show will be taking place at Brewery 85, which seems to be, the premier place for all your Pro Wrestling Turbo action. I mean, of course, there's Spinning Jenny and all the other lovely venues, but Brewery 85 just seems to be like home at this point. But it'll be happening May 27th. So once you've gone through your WrestleMania Backlash and your Impact Under Siege and oh my god, it is also 2 days before AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view. Back in Las Vegas for the first time since the first time. And so far only one match has been announced for the Turbo Anniversary show, and it's a pretty massive one, people. It is, of course, our champion, Real Joshua Cutshaw versus the Cannibal Savannah Evans. That's going to be fucking incredible. And recently, speaking of Savannah Evans, Impact has had the Big Rebellion pay-per-view, one that I've noted as being very close to me because that was about 2 years ago with the Rebellion that had no audience. That was about the time that I finally started watching Impact on a consistent basis. And this one had, of course, a lot more people than the first one I saw. And it was quite good. The pre-show was originally going to have a Ring of Honor World Champion Jonathan Gresham taking on Eddie Edwards. Or was he taking on Chris Bay? I kind of forgot. No, I'm pretty sure he was taking on Eddie Edwards because of the whole story of Gresham getting attacked leading up to the whole Honor No More versus Team Impact battle a couple months ago. So now we have Eddie Edwards versus Chris Bay, which is continuing on a story that was started over the last couple weeks of Honor No More pretty much doing gang warfare versus the Bullet Club, which, yes, please give me all that and tell me what that Honor No More theme song is called so I can look it up and listen to it outside of Thursdays, because it sounds like it's a pretty good song. I don't know, some wrestling theme songs, depending on the environment and all that, you hear it and you're just like, oh, that could be badass. And then you finally get to hear it on YouTube, Spotify, whatever, and you're just like, it's cool. It wasn't as cool as I thought it would. And then, or you hear it and it's just as good, or roughly as good. Or you could hear it on TV, think, I can't really hear any of it, so I don't know if it's really that good. And then you give it a listen on internets, and you're just like, oh my god, which is exactly what happens with Roman's current theme, because when I first heard it, and for starters, for some reason, SmackDown sounds different. like as in audio quality wise, not a whole it hits different sort of thing, but the audio sounds like a little less, or a lot lighter, or a little less bass or something. It's kind of hard to explain because I'm still far from an audio genius despite doing stuff with this for a while. And yeah, so I heard Roman's theme when it first debuted on SmackDown last summer, and I was just like, kind of missed that. But then I heard it on YouTube like a week or so later without any of the whole audio weirdness of Fox and SmackDown and all that, and I was just like, this shit is so epic. So you never know. And so Honor No More's theme song sounds dope. It could be dope, could be really dope, or it could suck. I would like to listen for myself and know this. But yeah. So Eddie Edwards defeated Chris Bay, so that's Honor No More 1, Bullet Club 0. Of course, God, I think on the Go Home show for Rebellion on Impact last Thursday, there was all 8-man tag of Honor No More versus Bullet Club, and for the life of me, no, I think Bullet Club got that one, because I think I remember the Good Brothers hitting a magic killer on somebody. So I think it's Bullet Club 1, Honor No More 1. So the plot thickens. And then the Influence, Tennille Dashwood and Madison Rayne, retain the Knockouts Tag Team Championship against the Inspiration. And man, on one of the backstage promos from the Inspiration last week on Impact, I think it was Jessie McKay that was throwing out all these descriptor words for them, and one of them she used was iconic. And of course, it was just like, oh. And then we get started with the actual show with Steve Macklin defeating Chris Sabin and Jay White in a triple threat, which, yeah, I think Impact probably a lot more promotion, like every other promotion except for WWE. But I've seen Impact do it the most, like have triple threats without like a title or something on the line. Just these three dudes hate each other, so we're going to let them just duke it out. But yeah, this one was pretty awesome because all three guys just tear it up. And then, sure enough, wouldn't you know it, Taya Valkyrie, who made her return to Impact Wrestling and is going after, goodness, what is with my throat today? Was going after the AAA Reina de Reinas Championship, which she never lost. She relinquished back in, I think it was last year. Yeah, I'm assuming it was like right before she went to NXT, if you remember Frankie Monet. And so had its own little path, went through Fabi Apache and then Deonna Purrazzo. And then Taya Valkyrie came back, no longer in the Stamford Penitentiary. And she has reclaimed her AAA Reina de Reinas Championship. And hopefully that means Taya Valkyrie will be back as a regular on Impact Television, because that's got all the nice little memories, and it'll be interesting to see her and Rosemary cross paths again. Or maybe they just don't, and they'll just do like a whole thing like when AEW and Impact were crossing over, and yet the Bunny and Rosemary never had that reunion. But it's okay. It's okay. And then, as is Rebellion tradition, Ace Austin defeated Trey Miguel and Mike Bailey to once again become X Division champion. And is this his second time or his third time? I'm losing track. But I think he definitely did it last year. And he might have done it in 2020. I don't know. But yeah, Ace Austin, once again, Rebellion Tradition, becoming X Division champion. Which is a real bummer, because Trey Miguel is, like, awesome. I've definitely showered Trey and the other two rascals with lots of praise, and yeah, I'll leave the other troubles alone, not even touching on that, but hopefully that all gets resolved, and hopefully Wesley will be used in NXT a little bit better than just jobbing out to Zion Quinn. But also Zion Quinn's a fucking badass, so I actually like NXT 2.0. I mean, sometimes it feels like it's sports entertainment for the TikTok generation, but but I don't know. There's a lot to like about NXT 2.0 for me, at least. Because Nikita Lyons is going to be whooping Mandy Rose's ass and becoming NXT Women's Champion eventually. I mean, maybe, I guess. I don't know. It could seem like that, and then it just goes, I still remember guessing on this podcast that Tegan Nox would eventually be NXT Women's Champion, and yeah, that went a whole other way with her going up to the main roster with Shotzi, and then went a whole other way with her being released. So, by the way, Shotzi and Nox still the NXT, or still owed a women's tag title shot, by the way. And then apparently somebody named EGV is coming soon to Impact, because there was a whole little film reel with him. And then next, this is the meaty men slapping meat match of the night. It was Tomohiro Ishii coming from New Japan to defeat the top dog Jonah. And Ishii actually managed to lift this 330-pound man and hit a clean brainbuster on him for the win. Like, how? How? And then Violent by Design, very much they defended the Impact Tag Team Championship in an 8-team elimination match. But the real winners, in my eyes, or, the moral victory winners, should go to Jordan Grace and W. Morrissey. Because the first team that came out were the major players, because Matt Cardona and Brian Myers have reunited once again. They had that big feud, but now Matt Cardona is a heel, so he can team up with Brian Myers now. And then the team they were facing was another surprise team, which was Jordan Grace and W. Morrissey, who respectively have had their individual problems with Cardona and Myers. And now I'm just going to need a 1-on-1 or 2-on-2, whatever, team versus team, regular old match. No elimination, multiple team BS and whatever. I want to see Jordan Grace and W. Morrissey versus the major players. And then I want to see Jordan Grace and W. Morrissey beat Violent by Design and become the Impact Tag Team Champions yesterday. But we'll talk about yesterday. Oh, man. If I could remember lyrics on the fly, I'd say there was a line from My Michelle that I was going to start singing, but can't really remember it right now. And once again, on the fly sort of stuff. But also we did go back to the whole Heath and Rhino feud with Violent by Design that went back to even a year ago when Heath woke up Rhino and Violent by Design went and injured Heath and took him out for a year, and Rhino defecting from Violent by Design. So, Yeehaw, long-term storytelling. And Tasha Steelz retained the Knockouts Championship against Rosemary, who is now a recent blockade. I don't know. She was blocked by Dave Meltzer recently on Twitter because Meltzer quote tweeted somebody. They were saying something about the women's divisions and like Impact or AEW or WWE and all that, and he said Stardom has the best women's division and whatever. So Rosemary, or specifically her sort of human personality, Courtney Rush, quote tweeted Dave Meltzer and said something like, Japan won't fuck you, or Japan won't have sex with you. I gotta pull it up now because it is just too damn good to not tell you. Sorry, this is horrible radio, but you know, it do what it do what it do. Just looking for this tweet. Oh, and apparently she used to work at a movie theater because somebody was tweeting about Jason X being 20 years old today, and she said, I was working in a movie theater when this came out, and I remember the Jason X posters were all sick. A F exclamation point. It's like, I too did work in a movie theater when a Jason movie came out, but it was the Friday the 13th remake with Jared Padalecki and I guess like half the people who were relevant on CW at the time. This was like 2 or 3 years pre-Arrowverse, so it's not that exciting. Even though I was a Supernatural fan at the time, so I was interested in seeing him on Friday the 13th and Jensen Ackles on the My Bloody Valentine 3D remake. But anyway, yeah, somebody said, oh my goodness, and this is tracing way back. Well, let me run through real quick because, yeah, okay, so the whole long-term storytelling between Moose and Josh Alexander finally came to a head just with the correct result, with a match worthy of this epic storyline that's been going on since technically even before October, like it really starting when Josh Alexander relinquished the X Division Championship for Option C to get a crack at the World Championship when Christian Cage was the champion. But now Josh Alexander has finally reclaimed the Impact World Championship. And he got to do it in front of his family. And it was just beautiful. Like, they executed this main event and this story just wonderfully. And I mean, when you look at the talent involved, Moose and Josh Alexander, like, give both of them their flowers. So definitely looking forward to seeing the era of the walking weapon begin here on Impact. Okay, so we're getting back to Twitter. I guess this is the closest that we get to a gossip column. So, Fightful Wrestling posted an interview they did with Becky Lynch, who the title, which of course is a little bit clickbaity. I mean, I love Fightful. I love Sean Ross Sapp, Denise Salcedo. Not sure if she's like an official staff member of Fightful, but she does collab with them a lot at least. And she kicked nuts, not butts, when she hit Sean Ross Sapp with a low blow at Clusterfuck. I don't know, if you look at wrestling Twitter, it'll make more sense because I always suck at explaining things. That's why I have this podcast. But yeah, Becky said, women in AEW aren't represented the way we are, don't get as much time, and aren't as good. Which, yeah, not exactly clickbaity, but also not full of lies either. But she did give her special shout out to Ruby Soho and definitely gave her all of her due props. So someone quote tweeted that and said, just going to leave this right here. WWE and AEW can fight about who has the better women's division. I'm going to just keep enjoying the Impact Wrestling Knockouts division. Very valid tweet, too, because the Knockouts division, not just now, but historically, has been pretty ahead of its time. And then Dave Meltzer quote tweeted that and said, the best women's wrestling is in Stardom. And then Courtney Rush quote tweeted him, and she said, Japan isn't going to fuck you, Dave. Chill out, grinny face. Which, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen anybody say to or about Dave Meltzer. And naturally, he blocked her. So that's just a little tale to give you all the chuckles. So, going back to Becky Lynch, who made her return to Monday Night Raw for the first time since losing the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania. Apparently, somebody forgot that this was 3 weeks after WrestleMania, or 3 weeks after the Raw After Mania. Because apparently we had some returns and surprises here that, good Lord, you should just put that in the Raw After Mania. I mean, this was basically Raw After Mania Part 2. Because, so not only did Becky come back, but while she was talking and she was going all, my precious, and I'm at rock bottom, which means I can only go up from here, which is a valid point. A certain Empress of Tomorrow's music hit, which means, hell yeah, motherfucker, Asuka's back on the scene. So we're about to get a Becky versus Asuka feud. And oh my god, I might run this down in a future episode and just like go for Becky and Asuka's history over the last few years, even though, I mean, we can trace back me podcasting about it at least since, probably since Asuka won the SmackDown Women's Championship in the ladder match against Becky and Charlotte, which then led to Becky getting her rematch against Asuka at Royal Rumble 2019 and losing, so managing to get her way into the Royal Rumble, winning it, then going on to the main event of WrestleMania and beating Ronda and Charlotte to become Becky 2 belts, and basically holding on to that Raw Women's Championship for 3 years, asterisk, minus 15 months that she was pregnant and still with child. And Asuka was the person who won Money in the Bank, who the next day Becky made her pregnancy announcement. Okay, I'll save the whole Becky Asuka timeline for another episode. Hopefully soon, because WrestleMania Backlash is like a week from Sunday anyway. Then The Miz had Theory on, the new United States champion, and they were interrupted by a and wouldn't you freaking know it, Mustafa Ali is back. And he's babyface now, so even though he has been in real life been requesting his release and going very public about wanting to leave WWE, his persona is actually the furthest it's been from the whole Retribution Ali of shut it down in like 2.5, 3 years. Go. Was there a third one? Or yeah, it was basically Becky, Asuka, and Mustafa Ali. And we celebrated the 20 years of Randy Orton being in WWE. And he got to tag with, of course, his tag teammate Riddle and Ezekiel, who passed the lie detector test. So he's definitely just Elias's younger brother and not Elias. And tagged with his longtime friend and former teammate in their trio called Legacy, Cody Rhodes. And of course, Randy had a really dope video package with this song Voices from, I think it's Motionless in White. It's not the Voices Rev Theory song, that's his usual theme song. It's another song called Voices. because why not? He hears voices in his head. They counsel him. They understand. They talk to him. So yeah, lots and lots of good old fun stuff happening in the world of wrestling, and we move ever so forward to WrestleMania Backlash and Impact Under Siege. Oh, and apparently Slammiversary is actually going to be in June and not July now, and it takes place literally a week before AEW and New Japan have collaborate in Chicago for a pay-per-view called The Forbidden Door. So, lots and lots of great stuff. And hopefully, I'll be talking about it at a more often rate, consistent rate. Of course, I always say that, but who knows? But the clock does ever tick closer to Dragon Con, because once Dragon Con happens, we're on spooky season hiatus, y'all. So I got to get better at getting up towards this. But anyways, thanks for locking up with me in the Ring of Thunder. I finally remembered that setup for the goodbye. Finally. Kick butts, not nuts.
How did watchdog groups with no experience in television take a controlling interest on Saturday morning television?
When did Wonder Woman make her animated debut?
Want to know why there were two competing Ghostbuster shows?
How Atari changed the Saturday morning landscape?
How did networks compete over similar genres at the same time?
Find out all of this and more on the Best Saturdays of Our Lives podcast.
A proud member of the ESO Network.
Hello. Have you ever wondered how much Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster sold Superman's rights to DC for? Or which popular football star was the Sam Wilson the Falcons' physical appearance based on? You can find all that and more at the History of Comic Books podcast, a podcast dedicated to the creators, events, history, and the companies that made the great comic book medium. Hosted and created by your friendly neighborhood JT Wheatley. Please give it a listen at iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, and all our podcasting platforms. Thank you, and go ahead and enjoy yourself a good comic book.
Hey guys, gals, and non-binary pals.
It's Amanda Bones.
And I'm Ashley.
Of How to Talk to Your Friend About Wrestling, the podcast on the Count Out Wrestling Podcast Network, a weekly show where we talk about all of our favorite things, babes, blood, and brutality.
We also talk about other fun things, like is Kenny Omega finally too tan? And how much blood is too much blood? Because that looks like way too much blood.
So join us on the adventure of teaching me, Amanda Bones, about wrestling.
Do you like podcasts?
Then you're gonna hate Thunder Talk.
Tasteless subject matter.
Mature humor.
Contempt for our co-hosts.
Unapologetic social views.
Edgy music.
And total irreverence for the nerd junk we love.
Are all reasons why
No one
should listen to Thunder Talk.
Find us on the ESO Network.
and all podcasting platforms.
Or don't.
Whatever.